Hello there, my name is Leone. This is News Review. Thank you for being there. Coming up for you on the show today, Comium staff staged a protest today to call for an end to the suspension of the company's license. There we have a report for you on that, but Official CEO and founder has also visited the Gambia. Today my guest will be Banka Manneh, commentator. He'll be joining me today. There have been so many events in the past few days. He will help me unpack all of it. Before we I would go into the program proper, we will look at what the newspapers say today. We will begin with the Standard newspaper and see what they are reporting on. Their lead story today is saying Alaji Kante, that is the top businessman, says account blocked by political reasons. He is saying that his accounts were blocked or for political reasons. They are saying businessman Alaji Kante, the proprietor of Dabanani Electrical Company, has alleged that his company account at Bloom Bank has been blocked by the Police Financial Intelligence Unit on the instruction of the Inspector General of Police for political reasons. The UDP leader Hussein Dabo disclosed the news of the freezing of the account at a political rally on Sunday. Mr. Conte himself, an electrical engineer and former managing director of NAWEC, is also a supporter of the opposition UDP. Well, the new development is that his account has been unblocked this afternoon. So the blockage of the account there has been lifted. Another story there on the Standard is saying soldiers arrest suspected drug baron from Senegal. Soldiers at the Kudang military camp have arrested a Senegalese man suspected of being a drug peddler after he was apprehended with suspected cannabis, several foreign currencies and harmful weapons following a raid on him over the weekend. The suspect was also found with 500 euros, $5,000 and a similar currency in Guinean franc. Another story there says court refuses bail for trio accused of stealing $7 million. The High Court, presided over by Justice Ibrahima Jaite, has refused bail for three persons, Alassana Kurubali, Aliu Tangara and Yankuba Tangara, who are charged with 3 counts of criminal offenses, including stealing a total value of $7.7 million. The point, let's see what they are reporting on. Esafal says Gambia should stop importing bad rice. That's the independent presidential candidate there, saying Esam Baifal has said that it takes only a serious government to respond swiftly to the plight of your citizens, saying it's not rocket science for anyone to know that Jahali Pachar can feed the entire nation. So he's calling for an end to the importation of rice into the country. UTG swears in 35 new medical doctors. The University of the Gambia on Friday swore in 35 medical doctors graduated from the School of Medicine and Allied Sciences there. So those are what we have for you on the country's newspapers today. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So staff of Comium today protested outside the Comium building there on Pipeline, calling for an end to the suspension of the license of the company by government. More in this report.
We are families to feed. We are consumers too. We are consumers too. We are taxpayers too.
APRC House announced the suspension of Comium Gambia Limited for failure to pay license and spectrum fees for the period between 2019 and 2021 and international gateway levies. Earlier today, staff of the telecommunications company staged a strike in front of the company holding banners with hashtags, "We are taxpayers too, we have families to feed," among others. The Sales and Marketing Assistant Unit Manager Joking Mendy told reporters they are out today to raise their concerns regarding PURA, adding that they have settled 2019 and 2020 dues but are yet to pay the 2021 dues because they will be due in December.
We have cleared 2019, our dues. We have cleared 2020. So 2021, is due in December. 2021 is due in December, so that is what we are yet to clear. But all our dues, we have paid them all. We don't even owe them a dime.
So you know the reason why they are giving you the authority to start the operation?
Well, we don't know why. So this is why we are even out, because the silence is too much. Since the suspension came, we did efforts, commitments. First of all, we paid an amount of 14 million. And after the 14 million, is it 2 weeks ago, we completed the dues for 2020, meaning we are not owing them anything. So since this commitment has been made, we thought they will respond to us, but we do not get any response. But also, Pura, they requested something from us. One is technical investment plan. That is to upgrade our network. And we presented to them everything, even our vendor, Huawei, the recommendations that they gave. About 50 pages that we presented to Pura to give them the technical investment plan. They also requested for payment plan. We gave them this payment plan. But they refer us to GRA, that GRA are the one responsible for that. So we went to GRA, and when we went to GRA, GRA agreed with our payment plan. Within 2 to 3 months, starting from October, November to December, we can settle it. Because as I mentioned earlier, 2021 is due in December, and that is the spectrum fee and the license. But all other dues are cleared, are paid.
Speaking to the press, Mr. Manneh highlighted that in 2020, the intelligence network, IN, had a problem that led to them not operating for 2 months, thereby losing revenue. He also blamed the global pandemic as part of the reasons why they have struggled with financial challenges.
Comium, we were struggling. We had financial challenge. And also during this, the COVID came also. It hit us hard. And COVID is not only Gambia or only our company. It's worldwide. And everyone can attest to that. The COVID hit us. And also in 2020, our IN got a problem. Intelligence network, it got a problem. So also we lost revenue. About 2 months we did not operate. And this was losses to us. So this is why this constraint came, and we could not. But also we were trying by all means to get investors to come to our aid. But God intervened. During the notice of suspension, God sent an investor called Monty Mobile. They are based in UK. They are a multi-million-dollar company. They came to our rescue. We signed a management agreement with them. And Monty Mobile, they are ready. They are willing to take the telecommunication sector to another level. As I speak right now, we are not yet 3G or 4G. We are 2.5. But Monty Mobile wants or intends to take us from 2G to 4G and 5G. This is the stand of Monty Mobile. And
the staff of Comium also expressed how they feel after the suspension of their company.
We are losing money every day. We are losing money every day, and right now we don't even know how we feel. Right now we're just sad, and mentally we are tired, and we don't think we can go on. We need a word from them.
From my own perspective, suspension is not something easy. We know the economic impacts, staffs, income generated when everything is halted. Definitely that is, I would say, devastating to human capacity and income gain towards the company and even the government revenue. Definitely to be suspended is not easy.
The telecommunications company, with 125 members of staff and 150,000 subscribers, wants Bureau to lift the suspension because since inception, they've been paying their taxes, revealing that Multimobile, a multi-million-dollar company in the UK, is ready to help the telecommunications company upgrade from 2G to 5G. TFN News Review, Mati Sengol.
Thank you very much. I'm joined by Banka Manneh. The past days and weeks have been filled with a lot of events, really, Banka. Interesting. Let's begin with the former president, him stunning the nation with this telephone call, to speak to his supporters, to say, I never approved of this marriage, NPP, APRC. What is your take on this? Let's begin there.
No, it's just Jammeh trying to be relevant and trying to inject himself into our political discourse. And you know, one thing I'm very uncomfortable with as far as what's going on is that we know this man and what he's capable of. He's a destabilizing factor. He ran this country with an iron fist, committed so many crimes, and so he has no business at this point right now to actually have any say in our politics right now. Why? Because he's a destabilizing factor, like I said, number one. And number two, when you come to think about it, can you imagine the victims having to hear Jammeh's voice on a daily basis spewing nonsense? So he should not be given any platform at all. And I think that even Equatorial Guinea, where he is right now, he may be violating the terms of his asylum agreement. That's something I think the government needs to look into. Because if he's there trying to, pull strings here, what else is he doing? So I think this guy needs to be watched very carefully. And frankly, I think nobody should give him a platform, including the opposition forces who are also trying to, profit from this, yes, by sharing his audios and to show that, basically everybody trying to give a wink to the APRC wing that is saying no to the coalition. I get that. That's it's political season. But we have to be very careful, and we almost agree on one thing. And no matter what side of the aisle you are.
Now,
that is that Jammeh should not be allowed to participate.
Let's look at the timing. Jammeh, the last time he spoke, Gambians heard of his voice was way back in December last year. And now, a month or so to election, Jammeh has started talking. And Jammeh is saying now that he's going to speak every now and then. Let's look at the timing. I mean, what do you make of that?
Well, what I make of it is that Jammeh knows he is totally irrelevant in our political process. He is never going to play a role in the Gambia's political process ever again. However, if you look at what's happening right now, if there's any time to try to destabilize the Gambia, this is the moment. Because Jammeh thrives in chaos. And frankly, if he can create any chaos in the country, it's going to be of great benefit to him, because in that kind of situation that you have to bring stakeholders at the table, yes, bring peace and all these things. So in essence, this guy has an interest, a stake in a chaotic Gambia. And so that's why and this is a perfect opportunity for that. Election season is highly emotional, it's very chaotic, people are all charged up, fired up. I mean, you know the deal. And he is trying to make sure that he doesn't get left behind, and this is the perfect time for him to strike if he has to, if he wants to.
But this crisis is showing no sign of abating.
Yeah.
The executive, led by Fabakary, is telling us that this man approved of this coalition or this alliance. And then you have Jammeh speak and say, I was not aware of it, I never gave my blessing, I never gave permission for them to ally with NPP. And him rubbishing all of that. And then you have Fabakary holding his own press conference to respond to say that Jammeh was in fact aware, but maybe he must have been misadvised.
Look, let's call this what it is. I believe Fabakary. At the end of the day, yeah, Jammeh was fully aware of this whole process. In fact, he gave it his blessing. I'm 100% sure of that.
So Jammeh lied.
This is what's new. I mean, Jammeh and lying are synonymous, if you will. So, are you surprised? No. Jammeh thrives in chaos. So, I'm sure he edged these people on, knowing fully well, again, this guy has a criminal mind, knowing fully well that when this whole deal is consummated and all that, all he has to do is come back and say, hey, I'm not part of this, and create a commotion. And that's pretty much what's happening right now. I mean, this is about commotion. And the more commotion Jammeh creates, the more relevant he becomes. And if you notice, in this commotion, guess what's happening? His audios are being, what is happening? They're sending it all over the place in all the WhatsApp groups. This is exactly what Jammeh wanted, and this is exactly what he's trying to do. He wants to make sure that he takes center stage in this process. And he cannot do that by everything being calm and easygoing, because he's going to be relegated to the sidelines. The way for him to really make himself sound relevant and look relevant is to create a very chaotic situation, so that everybody will be saying Jammeh, 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 Jammeh. And frankly, he is getting that on a daily basis.
So in terms of the APRC supporters, would you say Jammeh's statements have made them confused? I mean, before Jammeh spoke, you could see that these are people who were kind of believing what the executive, Fabakary Tombong Jatta and co, were telling them. But when Jammeh spoke, you could see a lot of them withdrawing, getting emboldened by Jammeh's words there. Do you think that Jammeh has succeeded in sowing the seed of confusion in their minds?
Yes, I think he has. He has done that, because these folks, I mean, you have to understand also, everyone, including Fabakary Tombong Jatta and the leaders of the APRC, have always had their heads buried in the sand. What they are claiming, or what they are seeing, the Jammeh they are looking at right now, is the Jammeh we've been claiming existed for the last, 20-something years, and they decided they don't want to believe it. They want to have nothing of it. Even the TRRC, the daily testimonies that we are coming out with victim after victim saying this is what happened. These folks had their heads buried in the sand. It's for the first time, they are beginning to get the brunt of the madness that Jammeh has inflicted on so many other people. And so, yes, the confusion is real, it is happening, and it's all caused by none other than Yahya Jammeh. And believe it or not, he's only going to intensify. See, he has to steer the pot. He has to keep this going, because then, now the next minute he's going to go to maybe Mama Kande. Mama Kande, now we are with you. Da, da, da. And he's going to jump from place to place to place. I don't even think the people dealing with him, even themselves, will understand where Jammeh is taking this. Because again, he has to create confusion, he has to create chaos. That's the only way Jammeh thrives. He loves it, because it makes him relevant. This is the game, and he's playing it to the hilt, believe it or not.
In terms of his fiat, him just summarily dismissing Fabakary Tombong Jatta and co, and saying, I'm appointing new leaders. I found that really funny. I mean, what power, in fact, does Jammeh have in firing these people? But in terms of the firing, I mean, you've seen Fabakary Tombong Jatta and co saying, I mean, this is rubbishing it, saying this doesn't, hold any water. In terms of that, but I mean, you can see today his executive, led by Yaya Tamba, holding their own press conference and saying these people have been dismissed and that is it. So the impasse. Yeah. Where does APRC go from
No, look, I think the courts need to step in and settle this once and for all, because it's an internal struggle and internal fight. What Fabakary Tombong Jatta and these folks need to do is to go back to the courts and let the courts literally tell Yahya Jammeh, you are not a recognized leader, because he's not. You have to remember, these folks held a Congress, and that it was at that Congress that Fabakary Tombong Jatta and all these people were elected. So they were duly elected by their party, not Yahya Jammeh. So Yahya cannot do unilaterally. And that's why he was even trying to brand himself as the quote-unquote supreme leader. But again, how can you blame him? Fabakary Tombong Jatta is getting a good taste of his own medicine. This is exactly what they've been spewing all for the last
exactly, because months ago, I tossed this idea of them sacking Jammeh as a way of rebranding this party, trying to fix this party. This party has been dated by Jammeh, and he's passed. Why don't you fire this man? They thought that I was mad, I was crazy. Well, how can we sack our supreme leader? Now the supreme leader has turned against them.
Well, you know, with our political party system, what tends to happen is, because our parties revolve around personalities, the personalities become the brand. And I mean, even a company, if you literally tell them to ditch their brand, it's always problematic, because that's what makes them who they are. APRC is APRC because of Yahya Jammeh. And that's why even with Jammeh's crimes and everything, Fabakary and all these guys had to keep their heads dug in the sand, because this is about their brand. You take that brand and you...
So you don't touch that?
No, because the moment the brand is debunked, then it literally brings the whole house down. This is why even after Jammeh having committed all these crimes and done all these things to them, they cannot come to this decision to fire him. Because firing him is going to represent an admission that this guy is stale, he's horrible, he's toxic, he's bad. They all have to give reasons for the firing, and those reasons will blow through, and I mean, it will obliterate every defense argument, everything they've been making to really safeguard this whole franchise called APRC. It's the brand that they're trying to protect here. So now it's not even about Jammeh as much as it's about the brand. The moment Jammeh gets ditched and called names and branded what he really is, finally everybody admits to, even they themselves admit to the fact that yes, this is what this guy represents. It will mean APRC, this is who you've been the whole 20-something odd years. Finally stand, I mean, what they should have done from the get-go is to stand up and say, look, we just realized this guy has been committing some horrible crimes. And we as a political party do not want to be associated with that. We don't want to be branded with that. We don't want to be part of that. And we are condemning his actions in their totality. And we are going to make sure we stand with the victims to seek justice against this man.
And this is exactly what I told them.
That's what they should have done. But anything short of that, they all have to continue to get their heads, continue to get it further down into the sand. Because that acceptance of guilt is what needs to happen. And this is why many people have a problem with the APRC. That they cannot come to terms with the reality and say, this is what has happened and is wrong, and accept the victim's narration of what has transpired. The Jammeh they are admitting to, or almost admitting to exists now, is a Jammeh that had always been there. This behavior of Jammeh is not new to you and I. We've seen this movie before. I mean, Jammeh makes one decision today, he revokes it tomorrow, he goes after this person today, he goes after that person tomorrow. Confusing stuff because he thrives in chaos. That's what this means. He's evil, he's terrible. He's
now,
bad.
also help us make, understand one thing. Now, Jammeh is telling his supporters to work with Gano. Gano, a party that was struggling in your hometown in Bufu, that was struggling to get even 500 supporters. Yeah. Now you have thousands and thousands of, voters at your disposal. And now you have this new development, GDC. Jammeh is also telling his supporters, work with Gano, but also work with GDC as well. Some observers or pundits might say, Jammeh is engaged in a dangerous political chess game of taking the country back.
No, look, again, I'm going to come back to my original point. It's about chaos, 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 chaos. Drama, ending drama, drama after drama, because that's what makes Jammeh relevant. You have to understand right now, he's trending in Gambian politics. He is trending. Right. The audios are being distributed all over the place. Everybody wants to know what Jammeh is saying, what he's not saying, where is he not. So he's going to keep playing this game day in and day out. Don't be surprised the next day he's going to come out with, I went to a friend's house. Let me tell you a funny story. Will you? Yeah, I went to a friend's house about 2 months ago. Yes. He was the one who reminded me of this. I forgot about it. Yes. And I went to visit him about a week ago. We were sitting there. He said, man, Banka, I can't believe you got this so right. I said, what is it? He said, about Jammeh. I said, what is that? He said, remember 2 months ago we were sitting here and I was saying, well, I don't know what Jammeh is going to do this election. He said, you said he's just going to come here and create a lot of confusion. He's going to be here, be there tomorrow, say this and say that. And then, because we are talking about this MPP, APRC coalition. And I told him, look, Jammeh, what Jammeh will do, nobody knows. He could even come here and dish this whole thing and do something else. He reminded me of that. He said, this was exactly
and that is exactly what happened.
Evil people, that's what they do. They thrive in chaos. I mean, that's all he's trying to do. There is no other agenda here other than chaos.
Now, his first address, 2 weeks or so ago, it came hot on the heels of President Barrow's visit to Kanilai. The president went there, said it was done in the spirit of national reconciliation, and then a week later, Jammeh appears. And then say, stay away from this man, he's a bad man. And really, you look at that, but then before that, you could see the president was lambasted, the president was scourged by critics that he had maybe entered into a secret amnesty deal with Jammeh for him to return to the country. And then Jammeh does this. So his action, what does it mean for President Barrow? Has he been absolved of blame, of all the criticism that have been leveled against him?
No, it still does not absolve him of the criticism, because you got to remember what President Barrow did there was purely very selfish. He was going after his own interest, a political interest for that matter. He felt that, you know, look.
And not reconciliation?
These parties are.
And not reconciliation?
No, it was more about political expediency than reconciliation. Let's be honest. You know, I'm being accused of being on the Barrow side, so
yeah.
I think I can
now
criticize him.
Let's see how that goes.
Give him friendly criticism, if you will, if they want to call it that.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say here is this, that what Barrow did was purely for political reason. If all these parties, they are all quoting the APRC, they are all giving the wink wink. They are all pretending but they want the APRC vote, and they've been making moves to get the APRC vote. That's what the reality is. And Barrow is just one of those guys who was playing that game. So when he went to Kanilai, I know for a fact that he had nothing to do with unity, but everything to do with political expediency. This guy believed that by going there, this is going to be part of his effort to keep quoting Jammeh and his folks, and they might do this and might do that. And Jammeh saw through that. He knows that he's just being used, and he didn't want to do that. What Jammeh would have loved to see is something concrete, something that the only way he absolved Barrow is that those who were claiming that, yeah, Barrow and Jammeh had a deal and this and the other, I think he's been absolved completely of that. Now nobody can claim that, because based on what Jammeh himself is saying and what has transpired, we all now know there was no deal between these two. That Barrow did not make any offer that was accepted or this, that, and the other. There was no contract. So that part, obviously, you have to give it to Barrow, that he definitely has been absolved in a weird way. I don't think that was his intent. This was done by him purely for votes, and it backfired big time. Now, through the course of that backfiring, obviously, in a weird way, it helped him in the sense that it shows that there was no deal. He wasn't working with Jammeh. They were not talking and trying to do it. So many things that we were hearing. All of that turned out to be false. Because I know with what Jammeh is doing now, if he had been having communications with Barrow, you know he would have come out there and said, guys, in fact, Barrow called me, I told him, you know, I told him, well, no, certain times he's going to go through that ranting process. But he hasn't done that. So that communication never took place. But that still does not shield Barrow away from criticism. What he did there was wrong. What we all need to do at this point, and I hope what Jammeh's action will help kind of get Barrow on that side now and get him on the right track. And in a weird way, I think it will, because Jammeh is pissing him off. Since Jammeh is showing him that.
Do you think Barrow should go after him? Because
yes,
in Liberia, Charles Taylor was doing something similar. When he was in Nigeria, he was going about calling across Liberia, speaking to his supporters, interfering really in the affairs of the country. And then at some point, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had to involve the U.S., and all of a sudden he was dragged to court. So do you think Barrow, this can land Jammeh in trouble?
Yes,
do you think
and I think it should. Look, with Barrow, here is a unique opportunity for him. Opportunity in the sense that he's lucky in that he will get some APRC votes that doesn't have to bargain for. Fabaka Tomunjata and the few that are supporting him are already on his side. So now here he is. He's been trying to call the APRC. He's not going to get the whole APRC because there's a big chunk that Jammeh carries, and those ones are not going to vote for him because whatever Jammeh says is what they will do. However, now he will have the Fabakar Tomunjata wing of the APRC without having to sweat for it. And at the same time, he can do the right thing. Even if it wasn't intentional, but at least it's a forced error on Jammeh's side. Now Barrow can go after Jammeh viciously by contacting the Equatorial Guinea authorities and saying, hey, this guy's interfering and he's breaking the terms of his agreement with you per the asylum rules. And he can start talking to our international partners, United States, Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria. These are countries that are all pissed off about Jammeh. UK, France.
The US.
Saying, hey, US, and saying, guys, this guy is interfering. He's trying to destabilize this country. We must do something. And I'm sure those countries will at least lick their fingers to Obiang, saying, hey, don't do this. You cannot allow this guy to destabilize this country. If he does it, you'll be held responsible. And obviously, they can also make the case for Jammeh being indicted. Special or hybrid courts can be created right away, just like Charles Taylor's case. You know, Charles Taylor wasn't taken to the ICC.
Oh, yes.
Contrary to what many people think.
Yes.
He was taken to a hybrid
court. Yes.
The same mechanism can be put together for Jammeh too. And this is a unique opportunity for Barrow to do that because one, he has a compelling case, and two, with Jammeh's behavior, this is going literally, he is going after him. So he needs to do the right thing right now.
So in terms of NPP, do you think this has the emergence of the new political force, the No Alliance movement, do you think it has made the NPP richer or poorer?
You know, all this mess has benefited the NPP in a weird way. Like I said, before you have this group of people who were not NPP, they were APRC. Now that wing, I mean, we were talking to Malik Mbai in Atlanta the other day. We had him on the interview on our program. Malik Mbai, of all people, was going after Jammeh viciously. These were Jammeh's lieutenants. These were the guys I literally almost got into a physical fight with during the struggle.
Yes.
These guys are now calling Jammeh every name in the books. They have walked away. The Fabaka Tomonjata and many other people who were loyalists. Now they are all on Barrow's side. That's a gain for him. These guys would have otherwise been on the other side or in some other party or somewhere if it wasn't for the commotion within the APRC. So at least he has gained. It wasn't like people left his party to go elsewhere. People left other parties to come to him. And this is the coalition building that he's been on since inception, where he's been, you know, all these different parties, he's been grabbing folks from there and building this grand coalition of people of different backgrounds, different tribes, different religions, different faiths, different regions. He's been building this coalition that it's now beginning to look like this colorful thing. Whether it's by intent or by design or it just happened lucky for him, I don't know. But technically it is what is happening. So it's a gain for the NPP in so many ways. Because the danger that Barrow was facing, and this is why I said he's very lucky, is that when he was going after Jammeh and, you know, trying to appease Jammeh and all these things, he was pissing a lot of people off who would have otherwise have voted for him. Since this problem, I'm sure a lot of those people now give him a second look, especially in light of the fact that now they can start to feel like, okay, this guy probably will go after Jammeh because of what Jammeh, not because of what he wants, but because of what Jammeh is doing. So those guys might be comfortable. Even the Brahmasilas, I'm sure they are having big relief now. Oh, they are going, Alhamdulillah, because this arrangement that was being made put them in a very weird position. Lamin Tunkara, Brahmasila, Fabu Sani. These guys who were in the struggle with us, now they were looking like they were in the same camp with the Jammeh. And they were even
that kind of nightmarish.
Banka Manneh had to resign because I'm sure she went to bed and said, no way, I will not be able to do this. So these guys can now finally, you know, say, thank God, we are on the same side with Jammeh.
Okay, one thing also, I've also seen calls for the Jammeh's public speeches to be banned. He's him calling and addressing his supporters. You have some people who said the government should ban that.
Not only should it be banned, but, you know, banning is a...
So you agree?
Yeah, I agree, but it's a it's a very difficult proposition for a simple reason. You know, with this WhatsApp generation, banning a speech is almost impossible. You have to understand that. Even hate speech. WhatsApp has made it very difficult to ban. But back in the days, you could say that you cannot play this on radio, you cannot play it on TV, you cannot play it, you know, you cannot use a public address system and say it and But WhatsApp audios, any idiot can see anywhere and sit anywhere in the world and say something on WhatsApp, and it's going to be distributed all over the place quietly by individuals. How do you know who has it, who doesn't, who is listening to it, who isn't? Because this is WhatsApp is encrypted. So it's you know, it's one of those sophisticated systems where people can literally do stuff without the knowledge of the authorities or somebody. So point I'm making is that what we need to do instead is to, for Barrow to step up and contact our international partners and Equatorial Guinea itself and say, hey, Mr. Obiang, this guy that you are, you know, holding there as a guest is causing trouble over here. Would you want me to do the same thing to your country, or are you going to do something about him? Because it too can play this game. Barrow too can start reaching out to opposition in Equatorial Guinea and start causing trouble if he wants to. And Obiang understands that. He's a dictator. He knows what last thing he needs is for other leaders to start reaching out to his own opposition and start to help them financially and doing stuff. So he will understand that language, and I think it's high time that Barrow steps up, makes that phone call to Obiang and to our international partners, at least putting them on notice that this guy is meddling. And the more he meddles, the more problems we could potentially have in this country. And that is unacceptable. Because national security is priority number one. Jammeh is up to no good Lamin. He wants chaos. If you listen to his speech, because the only speech I have listened to was his APRC, when he was talking to the APRC that day.
Yes.
I don't listen to his speeches now. I'm not interested. I told everybody, don't send it to me.
Yes.
If you listen to him, anytime Jammeh speaks in codes. What he does is he will say, and he used to do this, he will say, in this country, we don't want no violence. We want to be peaceful. We want to do everything right. We want to do that. But then he will revert and say stuff that are meant to incite by literally getting into the grievances. When you get into the grievances, what are you doing? Absolutely. You are making the folks angry.
Now, his supporters, yesterday's press conference, they were ambushed by police. Really, I've never seen that happen anywhere in this country where people get arrested for simply calling a press conference. What is your view on that?
No, I am troubled by that. You see, for me, when it comes to matter of free speech, freedom of assembly, I tend to, I tend to err on the side of caution. The reason why, for me, Jammeh should not be part of the conversation because I know he is a destabilizing factor. But these guys that are just merely holding a press conference, unless they are calling for violence during the press conference, I get that. Then you can step in. But merely calling for a press conference, the police should stay out of these things. Let them allow people to hold their press conferences, do everything as peacefully as they need to be. The only time you should intervene in these matters is if the actions or the utterances of that group are causing us problems in the country. But that's not what I'm seeing so far. What I'm seeing is an internal party wrangling, which is fine. That's very normal. UDP had it here with MPP. They split and then we had the wrangling. It's still ongoing. That's all these guys are doing. So let's allow them to hold their press conferences. The police and the PIUC step out of the way and let people have their freedom to be able to have their press conference, and you don't even need a permit.
The crisis will take care of itself.
Well, absolutely. Let them duke it out. As long as they are not
let them work it out.
Inciting violence, let them duke it out. That's their problem.
Yes. Away from that, and this is going to be our final topic, nomination. Just a few days away. A massive 25 forms, nomination forms were given out, meaning 25 people picked up forms to get nominated. And all of these people have been given time for nomination. Beginning this week, this Saturday. Really, it's massive, and you look at some of the names. What do you have to say about this?
Hey,
it's going to be an enticing affair. Huh?
I'm excited. I am excited. I've said this here before, Lavin, and I'll repeat it again. Look, everybody who is running has a valid dream. They all have aspirations, a mission, and a vision, and that's a wonderful thing. For me, every human being, everybody, their aspirations and their dreams and their missions and visions, to me, are all valid. And I want to encourage that. Especially a citizen that decides he or she wants to run for president. This is it's a privilege, really, to do these things. So what I am trying to say here is that I don't care how how many people try to do this. Let's make sure we do it peacefully. Let's make sure we do it in a professional fashion. Let's make sure we respect each other's rights. And let's do it as wonderfully as possible. Let's laugh about it later so that we can look at each other and say, man, that day was great. This is what I want to see. So look, it's going to be, IEC has their job cut out for them. But guess what? That's what this was meant to be from the beginning. When we fought this in the struggle, the Gambia that we envisioned, the Gambia of our dreams, was meant to be a Gambia of a plural democracy, where everybody will have a freedom to do whatever they wish, as long as they are not violating our rights.
But do you really see all these 25 people standing, really contesting the election? Because that would mean a massive 25 drums.
Can you imagine that?
I mean, that is going to create a lot of nightmare for the IEC.
Yes.
How is that even going to
For
go?
me, I mean, I'm thinking about the colors. Haven't we run out of colors yet?
I think so. I think
Because
we have.
we have so many primary colors and secondary colors.
Secondary colors,
but
yes.
Because at some point you're gonna have to create secondary colors and mix and match.
And mix.
And some of them might kind of get a little too close.
Similar.
Yeah. So I don't know, but look, on a serious note, though, I think.
How many people are you really seeing standing?
Maybe some of these folks were running to make a statement, and that's wonderful. That's beautiful. People do that. Maybe running to kind of raise an issue or to bring our attention to something. I saw this guy, what's his name again? I cannot remember. The guy who had this meeting at the school, and he looked like he was
Barrow. That is Sambu Barrow.
Looked like he was just there by himself and few other people. But what was so effective about that? What was so effective about it?
Yes. Sambu Barrow's rally.
Yes.
A rally of maybe not more than 10 people.
Exactly.
Yes.
But people took videos of it. They watched it. No matter how you look at it, no matter how ridiculous you might think, the guy was out there saying, I'm going to come out here and say what I believe, what I want, what the Gambia, I talk about the Gambia I want to see. I mean, I watched it and I almost had tears in my eyes because I thought it was so beautiful. To see him go out there having the guts and the audacity to stand there in front of only a few people and make a point as though he had 1,000 people. So for him, it didn't matter whether he had a big, massive crowd or only one person showed up. He achieved a dream that day to stand there and make his point.
And he has already appointed his government.
Maybe
your name, I'll have to go through the election.
Tell him I'm happy to serve in his government. But the point is, it's a beautiful thing. That's the democracy that we fought for.
Yes.
Let's cheer the Sambu Barrows on and say, go for it. You have a dream and it's valid. Do whatever you gotta do. If he wins or loses, it doesn't matter in the end. He can go home believing in the Gambia, believing that he has given it his shot. Whatever that shot is, it may look ridiculous to you and I, or small to you and I, but if it looks big to him and he's satisfied with it, so be it. Really.
Banka, thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Before
we go, the CEO and founder of APRC, Mr. Ziad Dallo, visited APRC Gambia and have dialogued with workers and partners. He was with his staff here in the Gambia. More in this report.
The Chief Executive Officer and founder of APRC, Mr. Ziad Dallo, make a visit in the Gambia. The visit for the CEO was to meet APRC workers and partners in the Gambia to gather first-hand information on operational matters and to strengthen their existing relationship. The event held at Coco Ocean brought together senior officials from APRC, partners and other stakeholders who graced the occasion. The CEO and founder of APRC, together with his delegation from APRC head office, make a tour on countries where APRC is currently operating. The countries where the company is currently operating in Africa includes Sierra Leone, Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, and the Gambia. The delegation arrived in Banjul last night and held a short gathering with the senior staffs and partners of APRC this afternoon. Representing the CEO and founder, Waka Jan, Senior PR and Events Manager of APRC, tell us the importance of the CEO's visit to the Gambia and how it will further strengthen their existing relationship.
We do this normally whenever the founder and CEO is here. And the reason why we do it is to just try to maintain that family bond that we have in APRC, that makes sure that he would come and interact with the staff, and we all can be in one place as a family, enjoy the food, do some entertainment as well, and then people can go talk to him, and which I think is good leadership.
The purpose of the gathering was to further cement the relationship among the staff and partners of the company. Wakajan also highlighted the significant role that APRC play in the country and how they contribute immensely in the development of the country.
Social responsibility is very serious. When you look at it, APRC is in the forefront when it comes to sports, whether it's football, whether it's athletics, and also in music. We also support and we help in the music industry in Gambia. We endorse artists, Gambian artists. We support. One can say that 90 programs of the events that are taking place in the Gambia is sponsored by AFRICEL. And also we have social responsibilities we give out to, you know, like churches, you know, these disabled people, religious leaders. You know.
The event was entertained by Aliu Badra of Humanity Stars, who is also a brand ambassador of AFRICEL, featuring Miss Jobis in a song produced for AFRICEL. The delegation ended their visit in the Gambia earlier today. However, the FATU network couldn't get the CEO to speak on his visit due to some circumstances beyond our control. Reporting for the FATU network, I am Dauda Balde.
Very well, that will be that for the show today. Thank you for being there. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then.